Hello and welcome to the Metapod Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. My hair continues to grow, and so does the length of our podcast. Sean, this is episode 71. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I think what you meant was the number of episodes, but we have had several episodes in the last few weeks that have been long in the tooth. I think rightly so. But
I think our last two episodes before this have both been over an hour, like an hour and 15 minutes.
They've been long ones. They've been long ones. But for those,
they've been really good because like we had Luke last week, and that was so cool to talk to him and like get his perspective and get a lot of information for a lot of our people. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did not hear last week, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, we interviewed with Celios Network, talking about the upcoming Play Pokemon season and the things you need to know going into it and the things that you need to prepare for of that nature, and also explaining like the point system to qualify for Worlds and the different events and talking about those events and things like that. No,
it was a great one. And actually, I'm going to do the segue to the review because getting into the 5-star review, we preempted the one recommendation from this 5-star review with last week's episode.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is perfect. So yes, the review, I'm not pulling it up on the computer because Apple weird, but the review this week is going to be from Zakarian23. 5 stars. Best TCG cast there is the title. Thank you. The review is a long one, but it says, "Hey guys, just so you know, I come from a background in Magic. I've played Magic for a long time, participated in tournaments, and hit Mythic multiple times on Arena. Due to the cost to stay competitive, I found my way to Pokemon and have been playing since Unified Minds." So not long after we started playing, Jake.
Yeah, pretty much almost the same time as us.
That being said, I listened to all of the Magic podcasts when I was a regular tourney player. Arena Deck List was the one that I loved most. My goal was to find that one pod on the Pokemon side that I would love to listen to every week. Metapod is that pod.
Yeah!
These guys get the meta, they understand the demand for collecting, and they are so pleasing to listen to. The Metapod gives some life to my boring work week and helps me stay engaged with all the latest PTCG news. My only constructive critique would be to get some high-quality guests on the pod. The only other cast I listen to is Lake of Rage. Great pod.
Yeah, great pod. Love what Mello, Sack, Deloc, all those guys do over there.
And it's mainly due to the guests. If you guys had guests, I would never have to listen to another cast again. Oh, boy. Great job, guys. And to everyone out there looking for the best PTCG cast you can find, it's right here. So, yeah, that's what I meant by preempting this week's review.
Yeah, it was very actually well timed. Too bad we didn't do it last week. That would have been really, really like perfectly good timed. But you know,
Future Sight, Jake. It was Future Sight. That's what was going on.
Yeah, Future Sight 2.0. We've had actually a couple Future Sight things throughout this week, and it's been a little wild. But we've had great guests on in the past. Like we had Real Breaking Nate on. We had Lee Bui. We had Isaiah Bradner. We had Amy. PTCG Chalk.
We had Neil Pye on, I believe, a while back to talk about tournament stuff. Neil Pye.
Oh, yeah. Neil Pye and Connor. And
yeah.
Is that all of them? That might be all of them.
Maybe. We almost certainly are forgetting someone, and we apologize. But if we
look, when you're 71 episodes deep, it's a little tough to remember what you did in episode 3, Sean, I will say. But you know, Sean, what's not tough to remember at this point? PTCGLive is coming. But it's not coming as soon as we think it is, because last week Pokemon released a update on PTCGLive, which, if you do not know, is going to be the new client of the Pokemon trading card game, how you can play online, created by the Pokemon Company. It's going to be in-house, everything like that. People are excited about it. Awesome. They just released an announcement. We're reading this off of PokeBeach.com that PTCGLive will be delayed until 2022 in order to provide players with a more polished experience. However, this is a good note. PTCGL codes can be redeemed in PTCG. Oh, so for example, Fusion Strike, if you went to Fusion Strike pre-release over the weekend, Sean, did you do any, by the way?
I did not.
I didn't either. I was in
Okay.
Ohio. I was visiting my niece and nephew in Ohio, so, and plus I'm poor, so
I was
Fusion
putting
Strike
together. I was putting together a hot tub.
Oh, okay. When can we do a hot tub pod?
I mean, I could actually set it up. It's in the wheelhouse of possibilities.
Well, in 2022, when PTCGLive comes out, we'll try to do a hot tub. I don't. Well, maybe that might get us banned on YouTube actually if we do a hot tub pod. So maybe I don't want to do that. But anyways, I do want this, and they provided a little bit of quote. How the Pokemon TCG Live mobile soft launch will be in Canada. Global open beta for desktop has been shifted to 2022. More to share soon on timing for both the testing period and the full launch of PTCG Live. And again, Fusion Strike, the product that you open, is going to have PTCG Live code cards. Those will be able to work in PTCGO, so do not worry. I don't know if you can input them yet.
No,
but
I do think that they did say that it, as opposed to before, it used to be that you could put in the codes 2 weeks in advance, like when the pre-release happened, but that you wouldn't be able to open the product until official release date.
Yeah, there's like a countdown.
But for this set, they said you are not able to put them in 2 weeks in advance. So
okay,
if you're trying to put them in, for those of you who are doing it and didn't see that little piece of news, if it's not working, that's just because you have to just wait until the actual release day this time.
Yeah, and it comes out later this week. So I believe Thursday you'll be able to open those packs, and then Friday is when you can get the coins and use those for like the Fusion Strike will be like in the PTCGO store, and you can use your coins and stuff on. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, I feel like. So I would assume it's the same this way, but I mean, our future site said that PTCG Live, I think I said on Future Sight that PTCG Live was going to be delayed longer. I did not think it was going to be until 2022.
I mean, but I think it makes sense. If you think about, like, they tried to time it to launch with Fusion Strike. They had the codes and all that stuff printed, right? And then it was just like, we couldn't get the beta testing. We couldn't get it out the door in time. Fine. Saying delayed until 2022 basically says we're going to try again for Brilliant Stars, the next set that comes out in February. So it wouldn't surprise me if the soft launch happens after Christmas. I think 2022 is when they'll do the soft launch in Canada, maybe sometime in January. Just trying to aim for like a solid maybe 4 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks of beta time between the mobile launch and the global open beta on desktop for Brilliant Stars in February. That would be my guess now.
And I will always advocate delays to continue polishing products, because honestly, in my opinion, whether that's video games, whether that's like anime, even, one of my favorite animes, if you didn't see in the Discord or YouTube community, 86 is being delayed its next episode. It's fine. So long as we get a good quality product at the end. I don't want PTCG Live to be PTCGO 2.0, right? Not a copy paste thing. I need this to be fun. I need this to be a lot better, especially if I want to continue playing this game long term. So I'm always down for a delay on PTCG Live. Does not bother me at all. It's fine. It's whatever. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. And you know what? At least they're working hard and they're going to give us a quality product, in my opinion.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But if you didn't see the news IRL, we are getting some quality products here soon, Sean. Cue in Urshifu time. Single and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX League battle decks have been revealed by, Bob McDougall, not the Pokemon Company. Bob, one of our Twitter followers and some that we know on social media. These, just like the Inteleon decks, the Blastoise Venusaur, these are League battle decks that are going to be coming out soon. And these decks are super good. We've been continuously talking about, these decks are really, really good. You should definitely get a hold of these. These are sweet in my opinion. If you look at the single strike one like we are right here, you're getting in this box, you're getting a 2-2 line of single strike Urshifu V and VMAX. And Sean, if you could look at the... Oh, wait, no, I have it pulled up. The Urshifu V, if you do not know, there's a promo Urshifu V and the Impact Blow and Laser Focus Urshifu V. You're going to be getting the regular V that you would in like battle styles. So the one with Laser Focus, Impact Blow, in my opinion, the better one. The one that you actually want. So you get a 2-2 line of that, a 4-3 line of Houndour Houndoom, which is awesome in my opinion. And then a whole bunch of other cards. You know, you got Boss's Orders, you get a Bruno in there, some Marnies, Evolution Incense, Research, Quick Balls, a whole playset of Quick Balls, Scrolls, Scrapper, Darkness, Urn of Vitality, Single Strike Energy. You get the whole shebang.
Dang.
Like really, really good list. I mean, outside of the Umbreons, this is pretty much what Single Strike was before Evolving Skies, I would say.
Yeah, this is a wild, like, we've talked about it before. The Inteleon one, especially, was one that we were like, you know, if you're looking for a League battle deck, the Inteleon one's a good pickup. This one also, you know, both of these, I'll pull up the list for Rapid Strike now, which is, you know, for the Rapid Strike one, it's the same amount of Vs and VMAXs. You got a 2-2 line. And for this one, they just give you, it's the Cinccino build of Rapid Strike. Not all of them are the same, but they've gone with the Cinccino build to give you the draw engine, some Octilleries and Zigzagoons here, single fan of Waves. But like, it's interesting, like 3 Research here, a couple of Karina's Focus Zone, and 3 Marnies. Yeah, it's really, these are really generally good decks. Now, obviously, what this one doesn't have, which I believe single strike decks are running, are like the Drizzile Inteleon engine.
Oh, yeah.
Quick shooting it. So, of the 2 lists, I would say maybe that the single strike list is more complete with like a competitive format perspective. But yeah, like they're both just really good lists.
I mean, you can't put Drizziles in here because you already have like the Drizziles in the Inteleon League battle deck. So it kind of makes sense, you know, reverting a little bit back to the Cinccino Octillery days of when Urshifu was first going around. You know, Pedro Torres, I believe, was one of the first people I saw running around with the Cinccino build at least. And I mean, again, it's a good deck. This Rapid Strike Urshifu deck even has a Cheryl in it, which is pretty good in my opinion. That's like super informative on like the competitive meta and things like that. Like that's a small thing to include that just says, hey, this can be pretty all right, in my opinion. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. One thing that's a little discouraging, I have seen some people maybe posting prices for these. Have you seen these, Jake? People like trying to sell these?
I haven't seen them like second-hand pricing. I know the retail price, which is going to be $30 on November 12th. So that is Friday for $30 if you get it at like a Walmart or Target or whatever. But what's the...
I thought I was seeing it some places for like $60 or $70. And I'm like, I will tell everybody, these League battle decks, they are good and they are printed often. Like, the only reason the Inteleon deck, I think the price of that one is particularly inflated is because of the Drizzile and Inteleon engine that comes with it. Because Drizziles were never expected to be $5 a card. So that is this artificial like inflation of the League battle deck. But generally speaking, I don't think you're going to get any of that with these decks. And so I would not really overpay much at all for these because the prices of every card on the inside is going to drop significantly in value because of that, which is a good thing. But, you know, if you're getting scalped a little bit too hard for these, like, then look into, like, if you already own a bunch of cards already and you're just looking to buy just look into buying these as singles. And then you might be able to build the deck for $20.
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about this. Probably most of the people here listening probably have a lot of this stuff. You probably already have Quick Balls. You probably already have Junipers, Marnies, things like that. Escape Rope, maybe a couple Boss's Orders, things like that. And with packs that you may have opened, you probably already have some Octilleries or Minchinos or Houndooms, things like that. So really, I would assume that most people listening to this probably just need the Urshifus, right? I mean, that's what I need. I just need the Urshifus.
Yeah, Urshifus. Maybe like Chinchinos. Chinchinos, like, they're not always in every deck, and I think they're rares, if I'm remembering correctly, or maybe they're uncommon.
Yeah.
But still, like, there's like some random things in there that you may have not pulled because you didn't play in Sword and Shield base, right? But yeah, great. I mean, the other thing somebody said was this is still a play level 2 for like the Rapid Strike. And I'm like, somebody said, if this is play level 2, play level 3 has got to be a Sander control deck. It just has to be, right?
Or is play level 3 V-Stars?
Maybe they're saving that, but that would have been because when they announced the first League Battle decks, I want to say that was a while back now, like a year plus, and I'm
pretty sure that was the Blastoise and Venusaur decks.
Maybe, but like it would have been so long ago that I doubt very much that the North American team was planning for V-Stars at that point. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's pretty far out considering that the North American team doesn't design the cards; they just package things and create products like this. Or should I say the Pokemon Company International. So maybe they're holding that play level 3 for like when big events return and they want to print decks that have won a big event. And so it's like a sort of like a specialty product that it's like, oh, this is the world champion deck. And that's a play level 3.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's the one that I want personally.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that just makes it so easy to be able to like build decks and things like that for like retro and stuff. And those are really cool mementos too. Like I kind of wish that I was buying those like before the pandemic and things like that, because they're a little bit harder to find now at this point. But if you want the League Battle decks, the Urshifus, again, they're coming out this Friday, November 12th, 2021, and they're retailing for $30. $30. And again, if you're seeing places mark up at 60 plus or even honestly 40 plus, if you're seeing it over 40, just wait and then buy the singles that you need in like 2 weeks or whatever. See how the Fusion Strike meta develops, because that's starting this weekend. See if, you know, the Urshifus are worth investing. And if yes, boom, just put your money in those. You'd probably I bet you could get a 2-2 line of each of those Urshifus here in 2 weeks for $40.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah. So Jake, speaking of Fusion Strike and how that might change things in the meta, do you want to get into the meat of this episode, which is an abridged review, abridged set review?
I'm not going to lie. I don't know what abridged means.
Abridged, basically, if you're talking about like an abridged version of a book, it's not the full book. It's just whatever some editor has decided are the important bits.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, because if you do not know, Fusion Strike is the biggest set in Pokemon TCG history. And let me tell you, there's a lot of crap in this set.
Yes. Having opened the set myself, I'm the proud owner of 2 Dodrio Vs now. I don't need one of them.
Dodrio Vs. That in itself should probably tell you exactly what we mean by crap. But I mean, if you're a collector, this set is phenomenal for you. You love this because there's a ton of stuff to get. There's a ton of Vs, a ton of special arts, different things like that. But for as a player, this set, if you try to open it as a player, you are probably not going to be happy with your pulls. There's not a lot of people that are probably going to be happy with it. But Sean and I are here. We're going to talk about the best cards from Fusion Strike. We're going to talk about playable ones. We're going to talk about our arts that we really like, some maybe chase cards that we want, things like that. And we're going to talk a lot about these cards of the impact that they may have. And we're going to be using Justin Basil's website because, again, this is the biggest set of all time. So the great thing about Justin's website, this is not a sponsor, by the way. This is just me absolutely loving the website. This does really well at organizing all of those cards. You know, you can go your alternate art for collectors. You can go your different rarities, things like that. And then there's a whole section for players as well, marking down utility Pokemon, attacking Pokemon, supporters, items, whatever else, which is really good, especially for newer players as well. Maybe you hear utility Pokemon and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what that means. Like, what's a utility Pokemon? Boom! All of a sudden, Justin's got you covered. So Justin, shout out to you. Thank you. And Sean, would you like to kick it off with the first card that you want to talk about?
I mean, do we want to do collectors or do we just want to do players?
Let's do players first,
Yeah.
and then we'll go into collectors.
And yeah, I feel like collectors, we can just do a really quick, like, our favorite cards. But, I mean, for players, we did talk about the Oricorio and stuff when we talked about the pre-release promos that you could get. So, I'll just start here with, let's see. I'll go with Gorbis here, because, like, of the 4 that are on the page right now, the Gorbis is the one that really speaks to me immediately. But this one has the ability, Rapid Strike cancel. Your opponent's Rapid Strike Pokemon in play have no abilities. And it doesn't say Rapid Strike Basic. It doesn't say Rapid Strike Evolution. It's Rapid Strike Pokemon. And if you remember, the Quick Shooting Inteleon, I believe, is a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So, if you are absolutely done with the Quick Shooting Inteleon meta, just run some Gorbis in your deck, and you'll be Gucci. They can't turn your ability off because, you know, Path to the Peak don't work on it. And all of a sudden, you're just like, ping me for what damage? No damage for you.
They would only be able to turn off your Gorbis if they themselves have Gorbis, but they need Gorbis first before you get...
You can't, because it's only Rapid Strike in play have no abilities, and Gorbis is a Fusion
Oh, wait, no,
Strike.
Gorbis is Fusion Strike. My apology.
Right.
I thought Gorbis was Rapid Strike for a second there. My bad. That's my fault.
This is great. So, like, I think this... I mean, you could also... I think there's a lot of really good Fusion Strike Pokemon that have interesting abilities, and that we'll get to it in a bit, but that I think is what makes the Mew VMAX deck so good and so versatile, is not just that, yes, it can copy abilities, copy attacks from other Fusion Strikes, but because you're leaning into the Fusion Strike, you know, genre, if you will, or battle style, all of them have like really interesting abilities. And so like the deck can kind of be a toolbox depending on what you're up against.
Also, this has a counterpart, Huntail. It's basically the same, or I'm sorry, it's not the same. This affects single strike Pokemon. Its ability says your opponent's single strike Pokemon attacks cost 1 colorless more. So that could be really good against all the Urshifus running around. You know, that's 1 more energy that they have to have. They have to accelerate the energy, sure, but especially after something like Gmax Rapid Flow, or I'm sorry, Gmax 1 blows the attack, discarding all the energies. You know, if you have that Huntail in play, they got to get 5 energies next time, which even if they have 3 they have to have all 4 Houndooms out. You have to accelerate all 4 of those energies, and you have to attach an energy on your own. So pretty much impossible, I would say.
And one other thing with this one, again, going back to Mew VMAX, because those are going to be the partners for these Pokemon most likely, is that Mew VMAX is weak to Dark, and Single Strike, like Darkness type Pokemon, more often lean into Single Strike battle style, right? And that's its weakness. So like, and Darkness, we know, typically has higher energy costs for their attacks, you know, barring things like Spiritomb, let's say. So like that extra, energy cost might be the difference between you winning or losing those games, because they either can or can't KO you with 1 hit in a turn. So I really like both of these Pokemon.
I also see these 2 Pokemon specifically being played in Control. For those of you who haven't been around, Sander has been messing around with this Control list with Zoroarks and things like that, because Zoroark can turn into a different Stage 1 Pokemon, which Huntail and Gorbis both are Stage 1 Pokemon. They're perfect for that kind of deck because it just hinders your opponent's Pokemon. You know, you're facing a single strike deck, boom, you just put Gorbis on the field. Facing a rapid strike deck, boom, just put the other one on the field, or whichever one. And Control has a couple other cards in this set that can make it better as well. So I think it's a really, really neat function to be able to have them in. But I'll go with the next one, Sean, because I kind of lobbied off of you for the Huntail. I'm gonna actually pick Serena V.
Oh my, okay, going down a bit.
If you scroll down a little bit into the attacking Pokemon, Serena V, it's a 200 HP basic grass Pokemon. Grass and colorless, Queen's Order, 20 plus damage. You may discard any number of your benched Pokemon. This attack does 40 more damage for each benched Pokemon you discarded in this way. Cheap grass attacker that can hit really hard with something like Skyfield. Sean, so we know expanded is a format, even though Pokemon doesn't really acknowledge it right now, and it may not be right away on PTCGLive. You could do some serious damage with Serena V, and it doesn't specifically say something like grass Pokemon specifically. So if you've got something like Darkrai, for instance, I don't know if you would actually use Darkrai, but I'm just thinking, you know, a Pokemon that can come from the discard pile onto the bench consecutively pretty much every single turn to continuously recycle Pokemon. The Giratina from Lost Thunder, you know, we see the Mewtwo decks in expanded that utilize the Gardevoir EX, Mega Gardevoir EX. It's where you can do more damage discarding your Pokemon. So the idea of that deck is to discard a whole bunch of Pokemon. They're all Giratina Lost Thunders. And then the next turn, you bring Giratina back out again and again and again. You put damage counters everywhere, everything like that. Queen's Order can kind of do that same thing, can bully that same style of play. Now, you don't have something like... what's that stadium called? The Psychic Stadium that allows your Psychic Pokemon to have one colorless less energy for an attack.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't. There's no way to reduce the cost of this attack, but there are ways to accelerate an energy on your turn.
Yes. So I think it's a cool Pokemon. You may not really ever see it in standard, but in expanded, I think this has some potential to be at least pretty decent.
I mean, I think we're looking at a new Donk deck in expanded, because if you think about it, like if you are going second and your opponent does not get a second Pokemon down for whatever, I guess it's not a Donk deck in the respect that most Donk decks want to win on the first, like going first.
Yeah, like the literal first turn before your opponent can even play a card.
But I mean, yeah, to your point, like if you can get, what does Skyfield let you have 7 or 8 Pokemon on the bench?
I think it's 8 Pokemon on the bench. Hold on.
Yeah. So like if you know you're not going to lose the next turn by having nothing on the bench, which that's the biggest fear you run into with this card, is if you discard all 8 and you're doing 340 damage and then you only have Serena V left and your opponent can knock it out and they win. That's the risk you run with this. But if you want, like, you know, either a late game or your opponent didn't get anything else onto the field and you can donk them like this, like, it's kind of an easy donk in that respect if you can get some draw. So,
and I mean, again, you don't have to discard the entire thing. You know, you could do like 2 shots or whatever. I mean, I don't know how good 2 shots would be because of things like Dragonite V in the format right now. And Dragonite ADP is just disgusting and gross. But anyways, it's a real cool little thing. I think it's a cool card. And I think it gives a little glory to expanded, something that we don't talk a lot about.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice. I'm going to head back up. And I got to talk about Inteleon VMAX because you can't overlook it, because in a set this big with as many cards that are of no playability, you can't overlook every card that has it. So there's a new Inteleon VMAX in town. This one is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, which it's interesting. The original Inteleon VMAX was not Rapid Strike, obviously. But this one has the ability Double Gunner. You can discard a water energy from your hand to use the ability. And if you do that, you can you choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and put 2 damage counters on each of them. You can only do that once a turn. So now you can only do that once a turn for each Double Gunner you have. If you have multiple Inteleon VMAXs on the field, you can discard that many energy and do it multiple times. But I think this partners just really well with all of the damage spread decks. And the nice thing about this one in particular is also the attack. Justin didn't label it for its attack as being powerful, but water and colorless, which means you can use Rapid Strike energy, just a single special energy here. And you do 70, and if you put the energy back into your hand, it does 70 more. So you can attach the energy, do 140, put the energy back into your hand, so you're at least safe from Fan of Waves. You're not safe from
Crushing Hammer.
Or Crushing Hammer. You're not safe from Marnie, but you're safe from any of the other stuff. Yeah, so like I think this is a really interesting deck. I don't know if it's top tier, but Jake, what do you think about this card?
I think it's pretty cool. I saw Luke when he was testing with his mom. He was abusing it a lot with Cheryl, and I think
Yeah.
Cheryl's a really, really good combo for this deck, especially if you're playing the baby Inteleon engine with the shady dealings. You can very easily find Cheryl, and especially if you maybe run something like Scoop Up Nets, you know, you could spend a turn and do a Cheryl, and then the next turn use Research or something like that. We have Palpad in the format. We have what's that one? Eldegoss V in the format as well. If you really want to do that, Eldegoss V isn't really seeing a lot of play at all right now, but who knows? Maybe with this, where you can do that kind of style of play, maybe one Eldegoss V can fit, and then if you start it, you just cry. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it could be like BDIF. It's probably somewhere around like tier 1.5 or something like that.
Yeah, I
Tier
mean,
2, tier 1.5.
I think the question for this one is like, I don't think it's I don't think it's its own deck, meaning like I don't think it is the hero Pokemon. The same way that like Shadow Rider or Ice Rider are their own hero, or Mew VMAX is like the hero of the deck. But I do think in some ways it might be like Single Strike Urshifu is not really the hero of its own deck. It's kind of like a combo, like Single Strike Umbreon, right? And it's like depending on the matchup and the situation, like one may be the MVP. And I think this is another card where you might need to find a pairing for this that, you know, I talked a little bit about it in a recent video made. Maybe something like a Crabominable V is a good partner. We'll get to that card later, but yeah, maybe two prizers so you can do some funny math.
Here's a thought. So in the last couple weeks, Tord Reckliffe, one of the best players in the world right now, he started playing Melanie Urshifu VMAX. And basically being able to Gmax Rapid Flow every single turn. There's a partner, a 1/1 line of Vaporeon VMAX in there, Sean. Do you think that maybe instead of a Vaporeon 1/1 line, you put an Inteleon VMAX Rapid Strike 1/1 line instead?
What does the Vaporeon do for the deck?
The Vaporeon with a 3... I think it's like 2 water, 1 colorless attack, but I mean, you just use Rapid Strike energy because it's a Rapid Strike Pokemon. With 3 energies, it is 100 damage plus, and if your opponent's Pokemon already has damage counters on it, you do 100 more damage. So you can do a max of effectively 200 damage, which is pretty good for like 2-shotting and stuff, and it runs real well against something like Dragapult, you know, because Urshifu VMAX gets hit by weakness against Dragapult. It's a really good counter to that, and maybe a couple other things.
That's interesting. I think it's a math question, right? Of like, Rapid Strike Urshifu, the way that Tord is using it is doing how much damage, right? And so if you add that and 140, is that enough? Or do you need the 200, right? Is the extra... And maybe you give yourself another 2 damage counters, right? For the 1 ping. But I don't know in the matchups that Tord is doing the math in his head if that extra 60 damage or 40, if you want to count discarding that energy, I don't know if that makes enough of a difference in the different meta game. So hard to say.
I honestly don't think it's good. Maybe if you do like Inteleon VMAX, Vaporeon VMAX, maybe that's a deck in itself that could work out. But I feel like when you're talking about Melanie Urshifu, maybe not, because I don't know, just like the Vaporeon it does so much damage after you've already like chip-shotted something that I don't see Inteleon being the deal breaker in that. I think maybe 140 is not enough.
Yeah.
Compared to the 200 if you're already putting damage counters on. But I thought it was an idea to bring up.
I think it's a good point, right? Because I think wherever Inteleon VMAX might find a home is still kind of up in the air. But I do think it's a Pokemon that certainly could find a home as like maybe a 1/1 or a 2/2 line somewhere.
It'll be very interesting. But maybe, Sean... Another interesting choice. I want to go down to Steelix.
Oh,
if you could scroll down a little bit, it'll be on the right-hand side. Up. There you go.
This one. Okay.
Yes. So Steelix, this is something that I think maybe a couple people might want to know about heading into this weekend if you're going to the Full Grip Games 1K Invitational. Steelix could be a good gym leader format Pokemon, 190 HP stage 1 Pokemon with a double colorless attack of Powerful Rage. This attack does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. You know, a Pokemon that's probably going to tank a hit to something that's not a grass Pokemon, right? Because it's weak to grass. You're probably going to be able to answer a KO or answer an attack with a KO if somebody's hitting you, because Gym Leader Challenge format, for those of you that don't know, is basically like a singleton format or like a commander format type deal where you have to keep your Pokemon of the same type, right? So if I have a Steelix in my Gym Leader format deck, I have to only play fighting Pokemon, things like that. So this could do very, very well. There's no Vs or VMAXs or GXs or EXs that are allowed in that format either. So you're facing a lot of baby Pokemon, and there's a lot of like 2-shots and things like that in that format. So I think Steelix could actually be a really cool Pokemon in that format specifically. You're probably never going to use it in standard, I would think, but I think for a lot of people that, especially until PTCGLive comes out, until, you know, the Play Pokemon Tour comes back, Gym Leader Challenge format has been an excellent thing. One of our listeners and one of my good friends, Trey, won the last one at Full Grip. So I don't know. It's exciting. Andrew was playing it the other day, I think, on stream, and I'll probably be playing it a lot this week with the 1K coming around. But Sean, let's go over a couple more cards.
I mean, I'll go back up because some of the ones at the top are absolute bangers. Toxtricity, Fusion Strike. I want to talk about this one because, again, talking about Mew VMAX, all that good stuff. But even, yeah, it has to be in a Mew VMAX deck, really.
Yeah.
At least for now. But yeah, Toxtricity has the ability, if all of your Pokemon in play are Fusion Strike, your opponent's Pokemon VMAX in play get minus 30 HP. I have never seen a card that has an ability of not putting damage counters, but reducing HP by like a fixed number, like minus 30 is like, that's kind of a weird, do you remember a card that has done something quite like this?
I think there are cards like that, but it's very uncommon, to your point. Like, it's not something that the Pokemon Company goes out of their way to print very often.
And it does not say you can only have one maximum downer ability in play at a time. I think because that would actually break the rules of the game. Because it's not like it's an ability. It's not an ability you activate, right? It's just a static ability. So to say you could only have one of them would mean that like it would be illegal to have 2 Toxtricities on the field, which is like, no, you can't do that. So like if you get one of these down, then those 330 or 320 HP Pokemon go down to 290 or 300. And if you get 2 of them, you know, if you get 2 or 3 of these down, that easily puts, I think, you in range for Oko territory with Mew VMAX, if it's copying something like a Genesect, let's say. And, you know, maybe a couple of those tablets that we'll talk about later. I think this is, and also the nice thing about this card is it can be sneaky. So you can set up a near KO and then say have a Toxel or a Zoroark on the bench. And then if that's the only non-fusion strike, then boop, swap it out on your next turn, minus 30 HP. You kill whatever the thing is that was dying, and you get to do an attack and maybe take more prizes. So this could set up 6 prize turns easily. So
there's a lot of cheeky things that you could maybe do with this card. And this card technically really only gets stronger the more and more they print out Fusion Strike and the more possibilities there will be. So I agree. I think this is really cool. I really only think that this is in like the Mew VMAX Genesect V box type deal, because that's really the only Fusion Strike deck that we think is worth it as of right now. But again, maybe in future sets, they make more Fusion Strike Pokemon that do really, really cool things. But Sean, let's go down to Tower Tablet.
Okay.
Tower Tablet.
Tower
Tablet.
Power Tablet.
Tower, not Tower Tablet. Power Tablet. I know how to read, but anyways, we mentioned this card, so we'll go over it right now. During this turn, your Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So Mew VMAXs are not really one-shotting each other because they don't hit for weakness against each other. So things like Power Tablet, things like the Toxtricity can really start to do some damage on, you know, the amount of power you're putting in with a base damage of 210 damage from that Genesect V that you're copying. So very, very cool in my opinion.
I mean, basically Electro Power for Fusion Strike.
Yeah.
That's literally what this is. It's just Electro Power. The only difference is we did not get Electro Charger or Volkner yet. But I mean, we do have Raihan. Raihan's kind of like a little Volkner.
I will say, though, we do have a type of Electro Charger. Kind of. Not really. Sort of, but not really. Anyways, let's go to the Cramomatic real quick if you scroll up a little bit. You can use this card if you discard another item card from your hand. Flip a coin. If head, search your deck for a card and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. I've seen some people going like 4 VIP passes, 4 Cramomatics, the Pokegears, all that jazz, like really aggressive coin flip lists that pay off extremely well.
Yeah,
and Cramomatic is a card that I think people are going to have fun with.
I mean, there are like Opal is another supporter that lets you go get, I think, 1 card maybe, or 1 for each.
Well, you flip 2 coins, and for each heads, you grab a card. So you can grab 2 cards if you had 2 heads.
And then you have things like Old PC, but you have to flip 2 heads to do anything with it. I really like this because, like, no, there's not a way to reflip in the current standard format. Like, we don't have Flip Teeny because the stadium that lets you reflip is only for attacks. But a single flip that lets you get any card and put it into your hand and you do not have to show it to your opponent, like, I mean, that seems like that's a win to me. Like, if people are going to play Crushing Hammer, this is, in my opinion, better than Crushing Hammer for what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, Crushing Hammer is good, but like, people know how to play around it, whatever. This card has the potential to be absolutely broken if they ever reprint a flipping effect, or, you know, if you just want to luck sack your way to win to a regional championship, then this might make the difference in some matchups.
We did see Cramomatic be played at the Japanese like regional event that happened probably like a month or so ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I'm not 100% sure how long ago it was. I know it was recent in the fall. We did see this Cramomatic be played. It's a little bit of a different format, but it's still something worth to note, I think. But another thing worth to note, Sean, well, I think it's actually your turn.
Oh, I mean, I'll just quickly say we've talked about Genesect V a few times. I can't make it bigger for some reason, but Genesect V is a Fusion Strike Pokemon, which is why Mew VMAX will be able to copy it. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have as many cards in your hand as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. It did not say that, but in play is what it means. So you could draw up to 6 if you have a full board. And if you have more than one of these on the board, you can do that several times in a turn. And then the other reason it's so good is it does 210 damage, and you can do that with Mew VMAX. You can do it just by itself, too. I know there are some people out there playing around with just like a Genesect V deck, the same way that people played with Turbo Zacian V. And it says during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack, but, you know, escape rope, switch, you're good. You're good. So
escape rope, switch, balloon, like we got it all. We got it all in this format.
So yeah, I would say that is the thing that makes the Mew VMAX deck really tick in terms of attack power. Because without this, I don't know if Mew VMAX would ever be played, but it has one partner, at least for now, that is a really nice attacker. So.
I mean, personally, I think Genesect V is the best card in this set. The ability is so good, especially if you're getting a ton of Fusion Strike Pokemon out on the field, like because you're a Fusion Strike box deck. You know, we have many different searching options in this format, I feel like at times, especially for little basics. If you're running like Toxtricity in your list, maybe like Gorbis or Huntail or whatever in this list, even Oricorio, the Fusion Strike Pokemon, works with Level Ball
Yeah.
So that's another like set of options right there. You have the Meloettas as well at 90 HP. So again, that's another just option for that level ball. So I think Genesect is arguably the best set or the best card in this set. So if you get it, pogs out to you. But if you, Sean, if you could scroll down to the supporters real quick.
Supporters, okay.
I'm going to go over kind of two cards at once. I'm going to go over Judge and Sydney because they're both going to be really good for control. I'll briefly go over Judge for those of you that don't know. Judge is a reprinted card. The last time we had it was in Lost Thunder, so a lot of you may be familiar with it, but if you're not, each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. Pretty good for disrupting. I know it was played in some decks, especially Pikarom. There was a moment where it was called Pika Judge or something like that, where Pikarom was playing Judge. I kind of think Marnie's a little bit better than Judge because Marnie puts it at the bottom of your deck and allows your opponent no chance to draw it. Yeah. But you could put in Marnies and Judges in your deck to be able to continuously stall out. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. I think Judge coming back is pretty cool. But Sydney is the better control card. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard up to 2 in any combination of tool cards, special energy cards, and stadium cards from it. Especially with, you know, things like special energies, things like stadiums. You can only play 1 stadium per turn, right? So if your opponent, a great way to get ahead in the stadium war is if you maybe know that you're, I don't know, for whatever reason, you know that they have a stadium or another special energy or a tool card or whatever. If they've got a huge hand, you could go ahead and get rid of some stuff, or maybe you can get lucky if you know that your opponent's very low on the deck and maybe it's an online format and you're like, oh, you know what? They probably have something like this or the other in the hand. This card could be pretty good for control. You know, gets rid of air balloons, gets rid of those stadiums, so you always get rid of this, or so you always win the stadium war, right? Especially with something like Octillery in Rapid Strike or Houndoom in Single Strike, or even Eliza, the new Eliza Sparkle coming out with the Fusion Strike energies. If your opponent has those energies in their hand, boom, you can just knock them away to the discard, and that makes it so much more difficult for your opponent. So I think this card is cool. I think it's pretty all right. I mean, it's really only for control, but I still think it's worth noting. I think control gets better in this set. I think we'll start seeing a lot more control.
I would agree. I mean, I think the benefit that control gets here is that the biggest benefit is that they printed Zoroark in the previous set, and now Zoroark has some really nice targets. And you also have this card coming out that is like hand disruption, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what comes of that card.
Sean, do you want to go into like your favorite cards? Or like the card that you want to pull if you get more product?
I'm just gonna pull Mew VMAX up because, like, let's be frank. If there's any deck that comes out of this set that is actually tier 1 or above, it is going to be Mew VMAX. Maybe Turbo Genesect, but I'm not sure. But Mew VMAX has 2 attacks, one of which is probably the attack you're going to be doing most often, but the second might be valuable. First attack, Cross Fusion Strike. Choose one of your bench Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks. Use it as this attack. As we said, Genesect has a 210 damage attack that normally it's 3 energy, but this one, unlike Mewtwo and Mew GX, you do not have to meet the energy requirements. So just for 2 colorless energy, which if you have been also looking ahead to future sets, there is basically a double colorless energy that's coming into the format next set that reduces your damage output by 20. But you may even be able to do this for 1 attachment in the future. So this card only gets better, which we know is going to be the case. And then its second attack also, I think, nicely protects it from, the Decidueyes of the world. So, or Zamazentas, right? For Psychic and Psychic, which you can use your Fusion Strike energy to fulfill that, it does 130 and it's not affected by effects on your opponent's active. So you can get through the walls at a decent clip. 130 is not nothing. Granted, 130
it's over double what Dragapult does with Shred.
Yeah. So I think this was a really well-designed card. It's only 310 HP, which I think balances it out a little bit. It is weak to dark. So that, with the single strike, Umbreon, and things like that, and Gengar VMAX maybe coming into the format, something to look out for. But otherwise, I think it's a great card. Jake, thoughts?
I also think it's a great card as well. I think, again, as you said, I think it's also a well-designed card. You know, it's a benched Fusion Strike Pokemon. There are two limitations right there, benched and Fusion Strike. You know, Mewtwo and Mew broke out of the gates right away because it was any GX, EX Pokemon in the discard pile. So you didn't even have to have the risk of it being in play. Now, this is just any Pokemon that's a Fusion Strike Pokemon. You know, it doesn't have to have a rule box or anything like that. But I think it has a lot of the checks and balances that a good Pokemon card should have. You know, again, the Fusion Strike, the bench, 310 HP, a little bit low on the VMAX end. It does have free retreat, which is pretty all right. And I think 2 Psychic Energy, 130 just straight ahead. I think that's a pretty awesome attack in my opinion. I still think Genesect is better though.
Oh, okay. I mean, they're like peanut butter and jelly, right? Some people like them both together.
I would agree.
And some people just like a peanut butter sandwich. And, you know, what kind of sandwich do you like?
If there's one card that I want, Sean, because, you know, I love full art supporters. I always, every single box, if it doesn't have a full art supporter in it, doesn't matter if I get 8 Mew VMAX alternate arts. If it doesn't have a full art supporter, I'm a little sad about it. I want Eliza's Sparkle. This will no doubt in my mind be the most expensive full art.
I mean,
No doubt in my mind. Not only is it Eliza, which is a very popular character in the Pokemon Unova series of the world, but also it's a pretty good card too, especially for your Mew and Genesect Fusion Strike boxes type deal. Choose up to 2 of your Fusion Strike Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a Fusion Strike energy card and attach it to that Pokemon. Then shuffle the deck. You're probably playing your Mew Fusion Strike box thing with 4 Fusion Strike energy, especially if you have a ton of Fusion Strike Pokemon, whether that's Genesect, the Toxtricity, any of those. You probably have a lot of Fusion Strike Pokemon on the field. You could have another Mew, 2 Mews on the field and attach to those. And Fusion Strike energy is all different types, right? So you can attach it to anything as long as it's a Fusion Strike Pokemon. And this is a great energy accelerant. A lot of issues that decks have is just like attaching energies. So this blocks that out, especially when your Genesect is the draw support of your deck. You know, you don't have to research or Marnie every turn. You could just Genesect 8 times in a single turn, and then boom, you can Eliza Sparkle for energy. I think Eliza is probably 2 of maybe 3 if you want to feel dangerous, but I feel like it's a 2 of.
Yeah, it might be like a 2, maybe 3. The thing I like most about this card is there's very few cards that search your deck for special energy that exist in the format. And this not only gets the special energy out of the deck, which you can't search for, it puts it onto your Pokemon, and it is accelerating 2 energy. So it's like, honestly, like this is also a massive counter to Fan of Waves. Because like if your opponent can't knock you out and just is Fan of Waves, Fan of Waves it to the discard. If you have access to one of these on the next turn, it's like it never happened, you know? It's gross. It's super gross.
And again, with like your Mew as well, you could go like Eliza Sparkle attach and boom, your Mew VMAX is ready to attack. So again, it's like the Fan of Waves never happened. Now, I'm still waiting on a Lieutenant Surge reprint. I'm wondering if they'll ever reprint a card like that or make a card like that, because I see so many supporters, Sean. I see like Cillian and Cyan and Chili and Crescent, whatever that card's name is. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool card. And I see as well the Pokemon Adventurer or whatever that's like grab 3 Pokemon V. And, you know, that also includes like V Unions, things like that. And I'm like, oh, man, that's a really cool card as well. But when I look at this format, I'm like, I either need to research or Marnie or boss every single turn. And those are like my only 3 options.
I mean, that's why I am super excited for, I hate to say this, post-rotation. No, I mean, the reason being is I think Pokemon is realizing that they need to start bringing the power curve down a hair. And so they've basically said, hey, we're going to reprint Judge because something needs to replace Marnie. We understand that hand disruption needs to exist, but it's not going to be Marnie again. Judge was perfectly balanced. And they have not printed a professor's research in the past the D block, right? And we're already getting into F. So look, they could always print one card and then all of a sudden everything's legal again. Who knows? But to me, like, I think they want to make people have those really tough decisions. And I think between that and V-Star, they're really getting to a place now where, like, as a player, you can't just rely on Burr deck go fast, right? Like, eventually they want to get back to a point where it's like, I'm going to make this decision, and it's me taking a turn off from being hyper aggressive or whatever it might be. And, like, who knows if that's the right play? And you will learn from that. And that, because Pokemon doesn't have a ton of interaction, but, like, those are, like, meaningful decisions that I think Pokemon can make players make. That right now, to your point, I have 3 options for supporter. I research, I Marnie, I boss. Which one do I want to do? Well, if I can win the game, I boss. If I need to draw, I'm research. And if I don't have any other options, honestly, I Marnie.
If you want to disrupt your opponent has a 20 card hand, or you need to draw more cards, like Marnie.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the arithmetic on that is just too simple. I think even as simple as a game Pokemon can be sometimes, which it's meant to be, it's almost too simple. So I think they're trying to fix that.
Just think about, like, Lieutenant Surge, Eliza Sparkle research.
Oh my god!
Like, that would be so sick. That would be so disgusting.
I guess,
or like even Control. You could even, like, man, just think like Lieutenant Surge, Sydney, Judge or something like that, or like Sydney something else, or like, oh man, the possibilities are endless, Sean. If Lieutenant Surge gets reprinted, I'll be so happy.
I think I'm just going to take a look here and see if there's any other cards that we want to quickly cover off on. I mentioned Crabominable V, so I'll talk about that real quick. Trigger Avalanche, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. You know, we do know that Mill has been a constant companion for people over the years, and it's not been an option for the last year plus. So this may be a way back into Mill for some people if you can play a control deck and use this. But its second attack is also very good. 60 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active. So it's basically it's a better Sableye V because it has a 90+ base to it. And, like, that's crazy. 4 damage counters, and you're doing, what, 240 plus 90, 330. 330 damage for just four damage counters. 2 quick shooting Inteleons, and you're already there. Frostmoth, easy. Melanie, like, it's so easy to accelerate the energy to this. I think this card could, pardon the pun, make some waves. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that because that's one that I really like. How about you? Any last cards you want to quickly touch on real quick?
Please don't make Greed and VMAX really, really good. Please.
Oh my god.
Just please don't. Please, I don't need a Greed and VMAX taking 3 prizes on my poor 60 HP Sobble.
I mean,
turn 1.
Do you want to hear a crazy combo?
Oh god.
Greedent VMAX, Galarian Crissola.
Galarian Crissola, stage 100 HP psychic Pokemon. For 1 psychic energy, force regeneration. Put a basic Pokemon V from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. If you do, the damage counters on that Pokemon until its remaining HP is 30. Oh. So Greedent V for double colorless does 30 damage, and then you take 2 extra prizes. Oh,
that's
so that would be a 4 prize turn.
Well, 2 turns because you need 1 turn to get the this buddy up here. But
well, yes,
but you could easily run a couple of Galarian Crissolas, right? Get a couple of those little attacks off, and then play this with the Inteleon line, and take 4 prizes with this attack, 2 prizes with some damage pings, 6 prizes in 1 turn. I'm sorry that I am bringing this up. For any madmen out there who want to build this deck and absolutely ruin the format, but that's a thing that can happen. I don't know if it will, but it could.
Oh, Little Dark Fury is going to make a deck profile on YouTube, and the thumbnail is going to be took 6 prizes while only dealing 30 damage, and it's going to be some green and VMAX shenanigans.
Yeah.
I already see it. See it. You can give me the royalties for the ad revenue that you get just for that idea, LDF, if you wanna.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a good deck, but like rogue decks like that, it's a lot of setup. You probably are going to lose more often than you win. But man, that's a fun, if you could pull it off, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
That would be something that I take to my locals.
Oh, yeah. And like, if you play this in the mid to late game, like if you've counted how many VMAXs of that type they've played, there's not a ton of recovery built into decks, especially for VMAXs currently. So if they're down 3 VMAXs and they have 1 on the field, you can feel safe that I'm going to put the Pokemon V out, and there's no way you can Evo it, right? So, like, Cheryl also won't work on it because it's not an evolution. So, like, yeah.
And then keep in mind as well that Max Gimme Gimme, its second attack on green and VMAX does 160. So even if they do like VMAX, you can probably still hit them and KO them with the Max Gimme Gimme. I mean, if you're already doing the double colorless attack, you're probably 1 energy away from that second attack. So honestly, like, if they VMAX, okay, still 3 prizes.
Yep. Jake, any last thoughts on this set before we wrap this up?
Enjoy opening if you like opening. All right. If you love collecting Pokemon cards, you love opening product, whether that's for you with your significant others or your family members, enjoy Pokemon opening. Enjoy getting cool cards. Enjoy getting a variety of hits, things like that. Enjoy the cards themselves. If you're a player, though, try not to buy product. Try to just buy the singles. If you just want to stay competitive, maybe you're like me, you're balling on a budget, just buy the singles. If you open a box, you're probably going to get a lot of hits that you don't think are going to be playable. But if you're a collector, you just like opening product and collecting a bunch of cards, this set's awesome for you. But
Jake,
yeah, that's my final thought.
Any future sight? I want to do a quick future sight before we sign off the pod. Anything from you?
My future sight prediction, I think that there is going to be... Do you remember that time where PTCGO was basically unplayable because of a set release and there was a whole bunch of bugs?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do.
I think that happens again.
Okay.
Because I think personally, here's my tinfoil hat. Fusion Strike was not supposed to go on PTCGO. It was supposed to go on PTCGLive originally. Yeah. So they're scrambling kind of last second to get these things on PTCGO, to get all the adjustments to work. They probably have had less time to attach. And because, Direwolf Digital is not going to be on PTCGLive, maybe they expect to be out the door already. I would assume that, Direwolf Digital, I have no harm foul to you. They probably care even less about PTCGO than they did 6 months ago. So I feel like, Sean, there's going to be some game-breaking things that happen on PTCGO that make me not want to play the game.
I like that. That's a bold prediction, and I think
it makes sense.
Well-grounded,
It kind of makes sense. I hope it doesn't happen.
Well,
I hope I'm wrong.
But yeah, that I like that one. That was a good one. I will make this prediction now, and then I will, if I'm wrong, I'm going to force myself to wait several weeks because eventually it will come. But I think that given the pushback of PTCGLive, the Pokemon Company is going to want to announce other news. Now, I will say that I did hear that they recently reopened the professor program. Somebody at one of our locals just got his certification to be a judge, to be a professor.
Nice.
So what that tells me is they're obviously gearing up for local sanctioned events. So I think that this week they're going to announce the upcoming sanctioned events. Schedule is maybe a bit strong, but like when those should come back, I think it'll be in January. And I think that I think
January makes sense.
And so, yeah, I think they're going to announce that this week and hey, find out when your store is hosting their first league challenge and cup type thing. Maybe.
Yeah, I think an announcement would be coming soon. And I also think when it starts again, I think it's going to be like around Brilliant Star or whatever the next set is.
I think
it could,
that.
like, events will start during like near/around that time, I think.
I think it'll be before. Only reason is Brilliant Stars would come out only like 1 or 2 weeks before regionals. Because it's going to be.
Really?
Yeah, it's end of February.
Oh, I thought it was like early February. Okay, maybe I take back that statement.
I mean, I'm just, that's the information I know. And what somebody said was that's perfect timing because it's the 2-week window from release till legality for like the first regional. So that's my thought is challenges and cups get some love this week.
I really hope so. Cause I want more competitive stuff I love the weekly league and I love going to my weekly league. But like, I want to go. That's why I'm going to Full Grip. I'm going to Full Grip this weekend for the Fusion Strike 1K. So if you're there, I'll try to wear this sweatshirt. So just look for the baby, or actually it's like turquoise sweatshirt, wearing a hat. I won't have long hair though. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so I won't have long hair. But look for me. Say hi to me. I'll bring the Metapod mat.
Nice. All right. Well, I will not be going anywhere this weekend. But
well, it's drivable distance for me.
Yes.
It's flying distance for you. So that definitely factors in.
But yeah, sign us off, Jake.
Thank you so much for listening to the Metapod, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Make sure that if you like this, let us know. Leave a review. You have some feedback for us. Maybe you want us to do a certain thing, whatever, like maybe an idea segment or maybe pose a question to us. Please let us know. We are literally like 2 followers away on Twitter for 500 at MetapodTCG. Literally like 2 followers away. So please, I made a poll the other week on the Metapod, was like, what happens first, Fusion or PTCGLive release or 500 followers? And I think it's going to be 500 followers, Sean, but we're not there yet. We're super close at MetapodTCG. Go check us out, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Have fun, gamers.